spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Greenhorn or Temple of the Dog, stop what you're doing right now, head over to Monster, go watch them. First week in 2024, and I kind of wanted to do just top moments of 2023. Number 10, this was one of the jumps that we built in Utah, and it's going to be Tour Gear's back nine and switchback nine. Session was pretty awesome for us. It was kind of one of the first times we built a jump last year together and started to get clips. And I was super stoked to finally kind of get to do a little follow cam. Ryan Finder was on the sticks and kind of nailed that angle. Number 9, I'm gonna say it was Brandon's first film line in AK. He was with us. We all kind of had waited like 18 days up at the Best Western in Valdez. He unfortunately had to go to the Rockstar Spring Fling. But so during the time that he was there, we were filming with Tour Gear and Judd. We had 1 day left in the window. Brandon came in that afternoon. He came straight off the flight in Anchorage, drove to Valdez. We were already out in the field. We went back and got him.
I knew I'd see you guys somewhere.
We did 1 line with him on kitchen knife.
Can I get a photo to send my mom?
Which isn't necessarily a warm-up line. Justin Bafu, our guide, was definitely a little concerned with, because he had never rode with Brandon.
Ah, that was fucked up.
We got him on kitchen knife, and then we took him to a line called Tiger Penis, and we had saved it for him from the day before, and he just blew my mind. Back 3 off the top, front 1 butter into this just like little techie kind of spine section into like a waterfall, and blew my mind. For number 8, when we were in Whistler, it was our first time down into this zone we called the Hole. It was off of our snow camp. Just when we got there, like I remember just filming a couple clips on the camera, shooting some iPhone photos, and it was just like the most magical zone, like for any snowboarder, kind of like finding pillows, finding spines is like at the top of the list for like just like the pinnacle of like really backcountry snowboarding, and like finding, you know, just these magical kind of like fantasy zones that you always dream of. And this zone kind of felt like that. And I remember taking a photo of the line, and Tour Gear kind of drew his little, like a lot of times we'll like take a photo and then on the iPhone, Tour Gear will kind of like draw in like where he's gonna go, so I have an idea. And it ended up being the first shot in his film Temple of the Dog. But I just remember that being such a, I don't know, just like such an insane moment. Like when we got that clip, it was kind of the first day down in the Hole, and we knew we were gonna go back to film, you know, more pillows, and that one just like was definitely super memorable for me. For number 6, still down in the Hole, it was really like Judd's day. We were like in my hard drive, I have it labeled as Judd's big day. I mean, it was just insane. Like the whole time filming with Judd, like Tour Gear had like a full extra month on Judd, and that day, Brandon and Tour Gear kind of picked, not necessarily lines out of their league. Neither of them had like a ton of pillow experience, and they were big dog lines. And Judd kind of was picking like the ones off to the side, the little easier sections. And it was like a whole day. Judd just went lace, 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 lace. He didn't fall, I believe. We ended up stacking like the whole first part of Greenhorn in that one day. And I think that's like something that really resonated with me, is like, you know, going into this, like we filmed for 18 months for Judd's project, but it's really like that first song, like Bad Habit by Offspring, like most of that song was filmed in 2 days. And that's like, you know, Sage said this to me once, it's like movies are made in days, not months. And that really resonated with me. So that was definitely a top moment. Number 6, for me, I'm gonna say it was Judd's first 2 waves in Indonesia. Neither of the waves made it in the movie, but it was like we had just came off of like 4 days of travel. We show up to this wave. The first wave Judd pulls into, he kind of laces this tube, first wave off the plane. In my head, I'm kind of like, holy shit, if this is how it's gonna be, like, we're gonna be able to shoot this movie, no worries. And then the second wave, it was like one of the steeziest just drop-ins that like I'd ever really seen from him. And just like pull in, just full soul arch. The water clip was insane. We didn't end up using it for the movie. He got kind of clipped on the barrel. He probably should have actually tried a little harder and like pumped and gotten some more speed, but just like that steed, just like him dropping in, just like looks so good. Going down to our top 5, I'm gonna say in 5th spot, we definitely have, it was Judd's front 14 that we filmed in Wyoming. It was in a zone that Travis filmed a lot of his movies, and That's It, That's All, Art of Flight in this area. And it was just like, I don't know, it was pretty just cool to be in that zone that like so much like history and snowboarding kind of like came from. And it was Judd's first backcountry jump, his first day filming with us. You know, it was his first proper time out on a sled to a pretty tucked away area.
Watch out, Judd. Oh. Oh. Yeah, buddy. Good, nice work.
Yeah, he just, you know, I remember talking to him about tricks, and I was like, oh, you should maybe try like a front 14 on it. And he's like, oh, I don't know, I've never done one before, I've never tried it, I don't know. And it was just pretty wild to watch him go from never having really hit a backcountry jump to landing a front 14. Number 4 is definitely gonna be in the same zone, but that was getting to build Ravine Gap, which there's really, I think up until that point, there were like Brandon was the 6th and Torgeir was the 7th maybe person to really get stuff done on that. I could be totally wrong, but and this was before Yuki, Cooper, Chase Josie and them hit it. I believe they were number 6 and 7, but anyways, legendary jump. Torgeir's back 12 on it. We'd kind of been thinking about his film, and it was always on the kind of agenda, and to get to build that jump, to get to watch Torgeir do a back 12 on it, which was an NBD, and also to get to, I had shot it from like a follow cam looking up into the ravine, or like rather than looking into the ravine, I was looking out of the ravine from the middle. I just thought it was kind of unique. It was cool to get a different angle on it than had been shot in the past. And we kind of had like the whole storyline of like that segment in our heads before we shot it. So it was like super cool to just kind of get to fulfill that. Going into number 3, definitely gonna say it was 100% our night shots in both of their films. Both of them were done in 2 days, but like that whole thing came about from Mason Michonne. We had a drone light lighting up the whole area. We like turned it into like a Hollywood studio, and just the amount of effort involved in like the riders, you know, pretty much having to ride in complete darkness with like a little bit of light, and just like how hard everything was, made it for like one of my like top moments of the year. And I wouldn't say it was like a particular trick or anything, but like more the overall experience of getting to shoot at night, and like, I don't know, just you're turning the mountain into an entirely different canvas than you normally have it. That was really cool for me. So I'm gonna say that was my number 3. We haven't really shown too much of the snow camping, which we do have a couple videos coming from Alaska and from Canada of snow camping, but you know, like our main goal for snow camping that trip was really just to like shoot in really unique environments, like that night stuff, or to get the dramatic time lapses at the beginning of Torgeir's and Judd's. And then I'm gonna say number 2, my like second top moment of the year was just Judd's first AK line. Going into Judd's project, I did not plan for him to have an AK section. And you know, a big thing for me was I had just the year prior been able to go out to the Tordrillos with natural selection and snow camp, and it really opened my brain on just like what was possible. And I wanted Judd to have that experience, and I remember telling him, like, I don't care if you just come and camp, like we can shoot like a story about just the camping, and you know, like you can watch tour gear hike lines and just get a feel for like the scale of the mountains out there. And that was kind of like my idea with Judd going to Alaska in the first place. Like I didn't have any kind of plan for him to have a part or to ride anything like he rode. So when we were able to finally get out after 16 days of waiting, it was like that first line, I remember him dropping in, and I was just like, I'd been telling him to ride fast, and just like the speed in which he rode it, and he ended up getting bodied on it, and it kind of shook him, and I was super nervous. And like if you watch the whole end of the clip that's not in the movie, like the actual shot, it's like like an orange airbag gets ripped out, and I thought that Judd pulled his bag, but it was really like the force of the tumble that made the airbag rip out. But that was like, I don't know, I was just so proud of him for stepping up to that. For number one, I've like thought about this moment a lot over the course of the year, but it was like by this point, you know, Torgeir and I had been shooting for almost 3 months straight, and we didn't have like the middle section to Alaska. We had just gone up there, I think it was like our 4th day of filming or 3rd day of filming, and like nothing was really like a film line yet. And this was kind of like the day, like it had just snowed, the snowpack was feeling good, and in Alaska, like you really only have like a certain amount of time like in between the snow, like the light going on the slopes on like those like northwest faces, and like there's like this like perfect kind of balance between like too much sun being on it and the slopes getting hot and like possibility to slide, and you know, then the light going away, or the day it getting too late in the day, or things getting dangerous. And we had shot Judd do a front 3 earlier in the day, which was mind-blowing for me, and like Torgeir was kind of warming up, and we had been eyeing this line all day, and you know, he kind of knew it was time. And I just remember that whole hour was like, so there was so much like I'm sure there's a little bit of anxiety and nervousness and whatnot, but it was like all of it came together, and we had to, you know, Torgeir had to do a toe in off the top, which was pretty gnarly. Like we got me up in the heli.
Drop when ready, Tor. Fucking up. Yeah, buddy, get it.
And there's this like full like, I don't need like huge building sized cornice above them, and when you're under those things, it's like, it's a really serious situation. If at any point that cornice randomly falls, like Torgeir's dead. And you know, it's a really gnarly just situation. And I just remember being up in the heli watching him traverse on his heels, and like if you look really closely, he kind of like slips and falls down and catches it up. And like that line was like, there was just it was so gnarly. It was almost gnarlier to just get into the starting position for the line than it was the line itself. And yeah, I remember that whole moment, like I'm up in the heli and like I'm trying to like take my deep breaths, and just like, I remember him dropping and just being like, Torgeir, like we're all good. You know, like our, well, the guide radioed to me, I said, I'm good, camera's 100. And then Travis went on the radio like, yep, all good, Torgeir. And Judd, I remember on the radio, is that Torgeir? And it was just like he dropped in and he picked this perfect moment, like the most critical section, like of turning left going in. It was just, I don't know, I felt like a chopper gunner. I was just in the thing like full chopper gunner, and I don't know, it was just like right when he picked that like left turn and he's like going in the panels, I remember the heli like we're kind of coming down, and like by this point like I had a pretty good idea of like Mac's kind of flight plan, and I remember telling him, all right, Mac, orbit now, and like we kind of bring the heli into an orbit. And I remember just like keeping Torgeir like in the center, and like by this point it was like kind of like the bread and butter of the line. And I just like that. I'll never forget that moment. Like I've thought of that moment for like years and years, like as a Grom, looking up to all Hostic's movies and just always wanting to like figure out how to shoot out of a helicopter. And I don't know, that one was just super special for me. So I'd say that was like my top moment of the year, Torgear's line. And it's so cool in the movie, just like in that Iron Maiden song, it was like, I don't know, just like one of the most like monumental kind of moments for me, and I felt like it went so good with the song. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely, that was like one of the craziest years of my life. I've never set out to like produce, direct, shoot, and edit anything. A lot of times it's been other people producing or other people directing, or you know, kind of me shooting for something, and both those projects were super special for me. So that's my top 10, and super stoked. We'll see what 2024 brings.